Hello, my name is James Fisher, and this is an attempt at a 5-minute introduction to my new history book. It's called The Enclosure of Knowledge, Books, Power and Agrarian Capitalism in Britain, 1660 to 1800. That sounds like quite a long and complicated title, so what's it all about? Well, on the one hand, it's about something seemingly small and insignificant, which is printed farming manuals. Books to teach the theory and practice of farming. And on the other hand, it's about something vast and of profound importance for the modern world, which is the rise of capitalist farming. So what do these little things have to do with such a big thing? What do such innocent objects have to do with this sweeping social and economic process? Well, it's because when these farming books first started to be printed in 16th century England, the vast majority of people who managed and worked on farms did not learn how to farm by reading books. They acquired their knowledge primarily through labour, through practical experience, and by learning the local customary methods from their parents and other older experienced practitioners. The literary world and the farming world were largely separate. But over the next 2 centuries, this changed, as the economic structure of agriculture was dramatically transformed. Land ownership became far more concentrated, farms tended to become much bigger and were more likely to be worked by hired wage labour than family labour. So there was a shift as small family farms were increasingly replaced by large capitalist farms, and there was an increasing separation between the people managing farms and the people performing the labour. Essentially, a new managerial class emerged, including landowners, large tenant farmers, and professional land stewards, who were solely engaged in mental labour. They made the decisions and directed others to carry them out. And it was this managerial class who desired printed farming books. Their managerial role meant that in order to exercise full control over their farms and estates, they themselves had to possess and control the knowledge required to make those decisions. It was the gentleman farmer of the 18th century in particular who found the opportunity to learn about how to manage their farms by reading books especially useful, precisely because they were ignorant about farming and they were overly reliant on the knowledge of their servants and their labourers. And to create these books, an enormous effort was made, first to learn these customary forms of knowledge from common farmers and housewives, and then to systematically write it down. These processes of appropriation and codification disrupted and reordered the existing system of knowledge, slowly subordinating a communal labour-based system beneath an individual book-based system. Together, this constituted the enclosure of customary knowledge. This is a metaphor, but a serious one, because it was analogous to the enclosure of common land in the same period. Now, enclosure took many different forms for different reasons, but it usually meant the repackaging of land that was to some extent managed collectively into a resource that could be privately managed by a single landholder. And that parallels the shift in knowledge, as customary knowledge that was to some extent a collective resource was repackaged into books to be deployed by individual cultivators who were in competition with each other. And both processes tended to benefit those at the top of society and disadvantage those at the bottom. While land enclosures are well known and debated, the far less visible and less tangible enclosure of customary knowledge has been neglected in favour of more triumphant stories about an agricultural revolution or agricultural enlightenment. But it's crucial for our understanding of early modern Britain that rural proletarianisation was a process in which commoners not only lost access to land, but in which over generations their collective knowledge was increasingly transferred to and exercised by those for whom they were forced to work for wages. Now, I'm sure fellow historians watching this will probably be thinking, this is all too simplistic, he hasn't mentioned this, he hasn't mentioned this, surely it was far more complicated than that. And of course they're right, which is why I spent so long writing it all down in this book. So if you're keen to read it, please order a copy for your library, a physical or a digital copy. And if you're lucky enough to be part of an institution with access to Cambridge Core Online, you can go and download the PDFs right now. And if you're really keen, obviously, you can buy a copy of the book yourself. I'm aware of the troubling irony that this historical knowledge is itself worryingly enclosed, so please help me liberate it. And if you got this far, thank you very much for watching.